Okay, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who joined us today. Welcome to our webinar on Future of Smart Infrastructures, Enhancing Urban and Rural Resilience and Sustainability. My name is Amy Zhang, and I'm from Emerald Publishing in the Regional Marketing team. Nice to meet you all, and I will be your host today. So, before we start our main session, I would like to share a few quick notes with everyone to ensure that everyone has a smooth experience. So if you are having any issues with the sound, you could change the audio options by clicking the setting. And please note that all attendees' microphones are muted. If you have any question regarding to the topic or you would like to ask the presenter, please leave your question in the question tab. And at the end of the session, we will have time for Q&A and we will try to answer your question as many as possible. Please note that the session will be recorded and will share with the participants. And everyone will receive a post-webinar email along with the attendance certificate and then recording link within 3 hours. We hope you enjoy today's session. So before we move into our main part, I would also like to acknowledge my colleague, joined by my two colleagues today. The first one will be Disha. Disha, she is in charge of regional marketing in India, and she was supporting today's event. Disha, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Yes, very good morning, good afternoon to wherever you're joining from. Thank you very much for joining us in today's session.
Okay, thank you, Disha. And Disha, in the following session, she will be handling the question Q&A time. So thank you, Disha. And also, we are having another colleague called Rosita. Rosita is in charge of East Asia. She's also the regional marketers. Chi, do you want to say hi to everyone?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for joining, and we hope you enjoy today's webinar. So, thank you.
Thank you, G. G will be handling all the technical issues today. And thank you both for your efforts to making this webinar happening. So here is today's agenda. Before I pass the floor to our main speaker today, I will share the highlights of Emerald's journals for 15 minutes. And also, after the 15 minutes, I will pass the presentation to Professor Mohan and Professor Yaha. They will have 45 minutes to share their insights. And then we will have around 25 minutes Q&A time. And the whole webinar will be around 90 minutes. Okay. So the first part, I would like to introduce Emerald Publishing to everyone. Emerald Publishing is a UK-based publisher. Was founded in 1967 by Dr. Howard. Dr. Howard, he was a professor at the Bradford University, and he was teaching in the School of Business Management. At that time, back in 1960s, he and his colleague felt that there was a need for a journal that can address the practical concern of the business management to wider people. So that was how Emerald was born, with its first journal called Management Decision. And over time, Emerald has expanded beyond business and management into the social science and applied field. And more recently, in 2023, Emerald acquired IC Publishing. This is a UK publisher with a history of 200 years in civil engineering. So today, Emerald more than 300 journals, and 97% of the journals are Scopus Index. In addition, we publish between 400 to 500 ebooks a year. So with a total collection over 4,000 ebooks and 200 more teaching cases are all available in our database, Emerald Insight. And Emerald's mission goes beyond publishing. Our goal is to produce the high quality research that can create the real impact to the society. So, with this effort, the core value in mind, we were really proud to be recognized by the API International Publisher Associations as the best independent publisher in 2020. And we've also joined the global academic reform activities. For example, we signed the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, commonly known as DORA, which calls for a broader evaluations of research, looking beyond citation counts, and to focus on the real impact to the world. We are also the member of OASPA, an organization promoting open access publishing. Traditionally, access to journal require institutional subscription, but open access make research freely available to everyone. This increased the visibility, readership, and ultimately the impact of the research. Beyond the academia, Emerald is also committed to the social responsibility. After UN launched the 2013 Agenda for the Sustainable Development, they have 17 goals and more than 100 targets across the society and the world. And Emerald, we group them into 5 directions, which are fairer society, healthier lives, responsible management, and quality education for all. And last one is sustainable structures and infrastructures. So now we currently publish more than 300 journals, spanning a wide range of disciplines. Our portfolio covers business management and strategy. As you can see here, we have the 13 subject collection. So also cover the accountings, education, engineering, health and social care, HR learning organization studies, information knowledge management, library information science, marketing, operation logistic quality, property management built environments, and public policies, environmental management. Last one is the tourism hospitality management. This reflects Emerald's commitments to support not only business and management research, but also the science, social science, applied field, and the interdisciplinary fields, ensuring our contents serve both researchers and practitioners worldwide. And next one will be our ICE publishing collections. As you can see, ICE institution is a leading provider of contents for global researchers and practitioners in civil and environmental engineering and material science. We have more than 30 journals and then over 1,600 ebooks and an archive of over 38,000 research articles dating back to 1836. So we are world famous structures, including we are involved in the world famous structures, including the Burj Khalifa and Panama Canal. And as you can see, these are our famous journals. We have more than 19 specialist engineering journals, 11 leading research journals, and 2 gold open access journals. And next one will be our IC Publishing complete e-journal collection. So over 1,600 titles, our ebook collections from IC Publishing actually are the golden standard for the practitioners and also from the academia. So the next one is our very important journal of today's session. It's called Built Environment Project and Asset Management. It's a Q1 journal focusing on sustainability and whole life value, awarded by the prestigious recognized status by CIB, formerly the International Council for the Research and Innovation in Building and Construction. And that is the highest honor for the excellence in the research and innovation. So I am going to introduce the editors of these journals, and there are also the speakers for today's session. So I am going to introduce our speaker today. So today the Professor Mohan Kumaraswamy was previously in the industry in Sri Lanka and Nigeria, then in full-time academia for 21 years at the University of Hong Kong. He is now an honorary professor at the HKU and at the University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. He has been a visiting professor at the National University of Singapore and at Curtin University, Australia. He held an endowed chair as adjunct professor at IIT Madras, India. He has led many research projects, including some founded by the World Bank and UNDP, and published widely in international journals, books, and conferences. He remains active in the professional institutions and industry-linked bodies. For example, in Sri Lanka, an Institution of Engineering (SL), then in Hong Kong, having been a chairman of the HK Institution of Engineering Civil Division in 1997 to 98. The vice chairman of the Charter Institute of Building Hong Kong in 1996 to 97, and President Asian Construction Management Association in 1999 to 2002. He launched the CICID, Center for Innovation in Construction and Infrastructure Development, from Hong Kong in 2002. Being its first executive director, he is now assists as the founder directors. He also plays a leading role in international research bodies and editorial boards, for example, as one of the 3 joint coordinators of CIB Working Commissions W122 on the public-private partnership, also as editor-in-chief of the Emerald Journal of the Built Environment Project and Asset Management, and as the editor-in-chief of the book series on domain-specific body of the knowledge in the project management. So thank you, Professor, for joining us today within your very tight, busy schedule. And we have another speaker today, the Professor Yasangika Sandanayake. She is the Dean of the Faculty of the Architecture and the Professor in the Building Economics, University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. Currently, she serves as the co-editor-in-chief of Built Environment Project and Asset Management, a leading Q1 journals and Emerald publications. And she was the former head of Department of Building Economics and former directors, Postgraduate Study Division, Faculty of Architecture, University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. Professor Yasangika research interests include the sustainable constructions, lean constructions, construction supply chain management, and operation management, and its application to the construction industry. She has published over 100 journal articles, books, chapters, and conferences papers in the field of built environments and presented in international conferences and workshops. Furthermore, she has supervised a number of doctoral and MPhil theses relating to her field of the studies and examined several doctoral theses. She was the scientific committee co-chair of the World Construction Symposium from 2022 to 2024 and is currently involved as an advisor to the WCS. Professor Yasangika has received many national and international awards, including the President's Awards for Scientific Research 2023, several Emerald Research Awards, and the University of Moratuwa Outstanding Research Performance Awards. So with their combined expertise, we are very fortunate to have them here to share our valuable insights. It's my honor to hand over the session to Professor Mohan, who will begin today's presentation. Professor Mohan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Thank you, Amy. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very clearly.
Great.
Yes.
Right. So I will share my screen now, and then I will start talking. Can you see my screen? And the first slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, okay, good. So you are at an advantage because I cannot see anyone, but I can hear you if you talk. So let me know if something happens. First of all, since we are running few minutes, okay, I think we are still okay, and time is short. So let me start off by thanking Amy for the great introduction, and just to thank the people who got us here today. So starting with Dr. Rahimi Abdul Rahman, Emerald Brand Ambassador for East Asia, who you may see on the screen, who thank you for the invitation, and thank you to Rosita, the Regional Marketing Manager East Asia, who took the wheel and steered us through the logistics. Thank you very much, and also to Amy for introducing us, and Disha, who are also regional marketing managers for different parts of Asia. NAT, New Asian Tigers, as they call Amy's domain, and Disha for South Asia, which covers where I am. So thank you very much. And I also thank the attendees who have invested time to register and start watching this session. And I hope you'll remain, and I hope you will get good returns on your investment. We will do our best to make it so. So let me move on to the game plan for our presentation. And Rosita, can you see the slide changing? It's okay. Can you see the?
Yes, we can.
Great. So the
Yes.
game plan for presentation, just sticking with the metaphor, is what was on the title and what you registered for. Future of smart infrastructure, enhancing urban and rural resilience and sustainability. So the first part, I will kick off, keeping with the metaphor of game. So I will kick off resilience and sustainability in built infrastructure. And then I will, okay, just to summarize, I will pass the ball, keeping with the game metaphor, to Professor Yasangika for section 2, how smart built infrastructure can help boost resilience and sustainability research direction. So I'm covering the broad topics from 1 to 2. I'll come back to the subtopics. And then she will pass the ball back to me, and I will talk about some focus case studies of research initiatives and their development and their dissemination. So, so she will talk about basically what she got from the literature review and future research directions. I will start with where we are and where we should be. And I'm going to talk about two paradigm shifts that we see as needed. Well, the first one we've talked about before, but it's not yet happened. Uh, and then secondly, how BPAM and other Emerald ICE journals, I won't talk only about BPAM, I must mention the others, can contribute, or how they do contribute. That's why I put can in the question mark. Do they contribute? Well, you answer that. So then Professor Yasangika will talk about these that she got from literature reviews, intensive uh, urbanization with rural sustainability and resilience. So people don't talk much about rural, but we will talk about it today. Smart cities and smart villages. We all know and heard about smart cities. Well, smart villages, some people have. Today, the others will. Then she'll talk about these things. I won't go word by word. And then relevant key publications in VPAM, which she extracted. Just examples, not complete. And future research directions, which should be good to wait for. And then my focus case studies, I will talk about two research projects, PPPs for accelerating and boosting smart infrastructure, extending life cycles is the second one, extending life cycles of built assets with smart retrofitting, and then a research program. The first two are research projects, Smart Villages and Rural Infrastructure, which is a research program between Australia, University of Melbourne, and India. And then how BPAM contributes. Now, no question mark. Even if I say so myself, I hope that BPAM contributes to these things. So that is the game plan. And I hope at the end of the game, we will score our goal, which is to make the attendees satisfied. So let's start. On the first section, the current status or paradigm, I talked about two paradigm shifts. Where are we in terms of resilience and sustainability in built infrastructure? Just to recap, some things that most of you already know. I mean, sustainability, what is that? I won't repeat the much repeated Brundtland Commission definition, which Yasangika will anyway recap on, about looking after the future generations while we look after our own needs. But it actually goes beyond that if you if you read a little more of that report, which is good. Um, and meeting well the traditional tripod of sustainability and the SDGs that came out recently that Amy mentioned. And then what is resilience? It comes from ecology. We need to be resilient, or if not as a species, we will disappear or go extinct. In built infrastructure, what does it mean? Resilience. Now we're talking resilience. If not resilient, we are more vulnerable and less likely to survive disasters, whether they are natural or man-made. Now, even the USA has poor report cards, as some of you may know, on the state of infrastructure. Every year they get, I mean, students will be ashamed to get some of the report cards like C's and D pluses and even D minuses in state of bridges or highways or something else, water retaining structures or levees that keep out the oceans or floods. Similar in developed countries, without naming names, apart from, of course, developing countries. So the USA set up an infrastructure resilience division, which they merged three existing ASC units, because our next generation of infrastructure must be resilient, they said in 2015. Question is it? Now, how to do that? Yes, we need to be resilient. We need to boost capacity to cope with disruptive events, to absorb shocks and bounce back from disruptive events, right? That is resilience. But how can we build infrastructure to withstand the shocks and surprises of the future that we don't even know will happen? Because climate change has brought new things into the um, limelight. So we got to diversify, maybe we include redundancies, of course, at a price. You include some extras and backups, it's at a price. We need to be flexible, maybe we go modular, like in modular buildings. We need to learn from nature, biomimicry. Research is going on. good research in that. How is it different from sustainability? So how is resilience different from sustainability? Resilience implies capacities to withstand unexpected disruptive events and bounce back. Another take, resilience thinking is a complement to sustainability, not a substitute. So you need both. And another take, comprehensive resilience helps recovery, reliability, and sustainability. So that's consistent with that. It's not a substitute. Whereas sustainability implies weathering longer term ongoing transformations. So something like that, right? Bouncing back versus longer term continuous. Above summarizes where we are. Now, where do we want to be? Where should we be? Okay, looking at this, how to starting with, there's going to be a similar slide after this, and it's not a mistake. So if you focus, this one is on how to improve resilience of each built asset. So this is one at a time, each piece of infrastructure. And it's okay, from a book published last year, and it's about strengthening the weak links and establishing the missing links between life cycle phases. Uh, what are the life cycle phases we're talking about? Here we are: planning, first phase, design, construction, operation, and we do have deconstruction and recycling, disposal, and all adaptive reuse. So those are the phases. Now, at the moment, we work in silos, as we are often told. So it comes top down from here to here, and there's no feedback, and then it comes down from here to here. Now these arrows are things are introduced because it's not enough feedback, and I'm saying what should, where we should be, right? So before that it was basically no arrows on left or right, just down only, top down, right? Obviously there's no feedback, things are not going to happen as they should, because they think the planning is fine, the design is fine, and they go on doing the same thing for the next project. So these are talking about a built asset. But here's what we need to introduce. We should introduce that built asset whole life resilience. So planners should, um, when they plan, they should give some feed forward to the people who are going to do the deconstruct. And this is how we built it. This is how we should deconstruct it. For example, a pre-stressed building, you cannot just go and knock it down because the tendons are under tension. The reinforcement is under tension and you'll have problems. So there are ways of doing it. So you have to give the deconstructors, so you have to give the information, the as-built drawings, specifications, all that. So, and same way you must get feedback from these guys that when we did this, we found a problem. So next time they plan, they do it better. Same from planning to design. It should not be one way. There should be fitness for purpose, feed forward and feedback, so that next time they plan better. This one, constructability, we all know about that. Design for constructability, and there is feedback, and then there's better design. Of course, these phases can overlap, but I wouldn't advise overlap in the planning phase. Better finish all the planning, otherwise you find something else has to be done before they start the design, and so you shouldn't let them start the design. This is just a by thought. Construction to operation. Now, recently we start talking about maintainability. I know there's a professor in NUS who has published books on this even 10 years ago on maintainability. So it should be, what you construct as well should be maintainable. Of course, you need to have the links between design and all these up to operation. So they get the feedback and they design better. They give the feed forward to the optimum ways in which to operate it and so on. So that's in terms of a built asset. Now, how about when we go to infrastructure, networks, and systems resilience? So now we're talking about road network, or a water supply system, or um, something which is more than just one built asset. It's a whole system. So then, how do we improve that? Uh, this is where we come to the first new paradigm. Holistic, extend our proposed new paradigm to holistic, urban, and rural. I'm throwing in rural now, we'll fill in the blanks later. Uh, Here we don't talk about rural in this slide. Smart built infrastructure systems. So for when you talk about, we want to get feedback from smart sensors, from sensors, and from IoT and so on. So same thing, well, similar things, except these words are different, but there should be, these links are almost the same. But you see, even this word is, well, you can't remember, but this one is different, let me assure you. Network and systems lifecycle resilience. So we have moved beyond built assets. And this one is also different. Network and systems resilience checks, stress tests, like banks do stress tests to see whether they're going to crash. And well, we do stress tests to see whether we are going to crash, right? uh, Blood pressure, etc. So, and holistic upgrades. So this is also for the network, and we are aiming at this best value operational resilience and for networks and systems. Okay, so that is where we should be. Now to switch a little bit, another paradigm shift is needed from sustainable to regenerative. Now, I don't know how many of you have come across this word. We talk about sustainable since the 80s. Regenerative has been talked about for some time, over 10 years, but we have not very well, many of us, including me, have not heard about it till recently. So I'm going to give you the concepts, how to verbalize and visualize what type of transformations are needed. Some of you may know and may know more than me. So please bear with me. Maybe you can add something in the Q&A to improve on what I said. What is a regenerative built environment? As I said, conceptualize and verbalize it. Going beyond sustainable practice, working to restore and enhance the natural environment. So beyond the basic Brundtland definition we see, although they actually have said more about this, it's not just to meet the needs of the future generations. They have said more, because I was thinking they have not said enough, but then when you read the report, they have said more. It's to give them the capacity to meet their needs, which will keep growing. It's not just to meet the needs static, but it's dynamic. So this is actually, they've foreseen the regenerative, the guys who drafted that. But now we are getting to specifics. Buildings and communities that have net positive, not net zero, impact on ecosystems and local communities. Integrating buildings with nature. Here we are. Co-creation. Local materials reclaim existing structures, green roofs, walls. Of course, we start with that. Regenerative design. What is that? It's holistically redesigning the built environment to not just minimize negative impacts, but to actively improve natural systems and resources that support life beyond traditional sustainable design. So we're talking about design now. Actively enhance the local environment. Regenerative architecture, it's similar. And then I've given a reference. It's about restoring, renewing, revitalizing. Here's a picture. As I visualize, I promised you a visualization. The visualization conventional where we were was business as usual. By the way, this vertical arrows, the scale, this is, well, it's not a scale. The axis is less resources required going upwards or more resources. So we needed more resources in the conventional. In the green, we got better, mitigating the impacts, degenerating design, or I would call it degenerative design. Then we came to sustainable, where we are, maybe still. And we need to go to restorative. Some of you may not be able to read this, remanufacture, refurbish, etc. We are getting there slowly. And we need to finally go to regenerative. Well, maybe not finally. There'll be another paradigm soon. Human and natural systems co-evolve. We have upcycling strategies. So this is co-evolve, co-evolution, not just evolution, and maybe co-creation. Um, Going to the next slide. Now we come to, again, a little change of channel. Switch to how. Now we talked about these things, the two diagrams about the different life cycle phases, then about and the paradigm shift needed, urban to rural and holistic. Then we talked about regenerative, going from sustainable to regenerative, just to recap. And now how can we help as researchers and journals, right? Those of us who are helping with the journals, to accelerate these needed paradigm shifts, if you agree that they are needed for industry, people, and planet. So we peer review the papers, the research that is documented and sent to us, to filter and improve. So filter means those that are not quite up to the mark don't get filtered through, but those that do get published. But before that, in BPAM and other journals, uh, we improve, publish, disseminate, and help develop, hopefully, right? We like to get involved with development if possible. We like to published practice papers. So BPAM, just to say a little bit about it, more than what Amy said, maybe it's an international peer-reviewed paper. Game changer was what we were told in Journals Landscape, because it's the only journal that specifically links project management. There are many journals in project management. There are few journals, or yeah, in facilities or asset management, but we link both, bring them under one umbrella. Well, Amy already said this, so I won't boast about it. She said it better than I could anyway, or I would. Uh, Apart from BPAM regular issues, we also have special issues on cutting edge themes. And I just picked out four. I mean, there are in various other themes, but on PPPs and so on. But because the four I picked up relevant to today's talk: Construction for and Circular Economy in 2020, Towards a Smart and Sustainable and Resilient Built Environment, 2021, another one in 2021, Sustainable and Resilient Built Assets for Smart Cities, and then this one, a little out of the ordinary, Smart Villages and Rural Infrastructure and Sustainable Development. So our journal is where our mouth is, right? We don't just talk about it, we actually publish. This is the lead editor was Hemantha Doloy, whose name will come up again. So apart from BPAM, other Emerald IC journals also contribute and to resilience and sustainability. And I picked up these Emerald journals. There are many more, but I just picked these up with apologies to the editors and stakeholders of the ones I just bypassed, just because I had to limit the number, and examples from other Emerald ICE journals. So you can cast your eye down this list. I don't need to read them. And I thought I'll just show these to show that BPAM is not alone. We try to do our part. And I think that's the end of my presentation. So I will stop sharing and hand it back so that Yasangika can take over.
I hope you can hear me and see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we can.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Professor Mohan, for setting the stage for my presentation and also explaining the two keywords in our today's theme, sustainability and resilience, and also for introducing a new keyword that is regeneration. Um, and a very good day for everyone who joined this webinar from different locations, different countries. And also, I would like to thank the Emerald Organizing Committee members, Rosita, Disha, Emi, and Rahimi, for putting this event together. So, okay, let me move into my area today. So my focus area is on how this smart built infrastructure can help boost resilience and sustainability. So during the next 20 minutes, I'm planning to focus on urbanization and urban rural infrastructure, sustainability and resilience. And then I will identify the challenges in providing resilient and sustainable infrastructure for all of us. And then we'll look at the two keywords, smart city and smart village. And then the digitalization, one of the buzzwords these days, and the use of smart technologies for developing smart infrastructure. Thereafter, I will present some findings based on the bibliometric analysis that we have conducted to identify current research trends in the areas. And then I will select some articles published in the Pen Journal related to today's theme. And finally, based on these findings, I will propose some future research directions. So let me move into the area. So as we all know, urban population is growing very fast, and the city living is rising significantly. According to the United Nations World Urbanization Prospects published in 2018, um, that is before this COVID. 68% of the world population is projected to live in urban areas by 2050. And also, urban population are expected to be highly concentrated in countries like India, China, and Nigeria. So this report further projects to have 43 megacities with more than 10 million population, especially in developing regions by 2030. So, however, they have also projected population decline in some cities of Asia and Europe due to low fertility, economic contraction, disaster, and migration. So, when cities enrich with smart and digital technologies, they attract massive immigration from various rural areas to urban areas to search for better living conditions. So, as a result, many countries are currently facing and they will face a lot of challenges in meeting the needs of their growing urban population. This could include demand for housing, transportation, energy, water and waste management systems, as well as demand for employment and also basic needs like food, education, healthcare, safe environment, and there could be many more. So, when the world continues to urbanize, successful management of urban and rural areas and integration of policies and smart technologies to improve the lives of both urban and rural dwellers are highly important to ensure resilience and sustainable development. But as you all know, there are several challenges that affect ensuring resilient and sustainable built environment and providing resilient and sustainable built infrastructure to all of us. So some of these challenges are listed in this particular slide. For example, like ensuring decent and affordable housing for all, promoting equitable access to safe water and sanitization. Now, when it comes to air pollution is a big issue nowadays. So, tackling air quality and related issues, then developing integrated and resilient transport networks. Energy crisis is another burning issue. So, how to enhance building energy performance is another challenge. Then reducing environmental footprint, synergizing urban and rural climate actions, then disasters, again another frequent issue that we face, implementing disaster resilience strategies to minimize the effects of natural and man-made disasters, then adapting to the needs of aging population, research related to aging population is another trendy research area as well as burning research problem nowadays. Then harnessing smart technologies and innovation to address these issues and how to promote transparency in decision making in addressing all these issues is another challenge that we face in um, ensuring resilient and sustainable built environment or infrastructure. So, as a result, governments all around the world and researchers and communities around the world are now searching for solutions to upkeep, restore, and improve the lives of both urban and rural dwellers. So they are exploring the potential of digital transition. Over the last decade, researchers have been working on developing a smart world with the integration of smart technologies. So as a result, smart cities, smart villages, the concepts like smart cities, smart villages are emerging around the world. So uh, let's see what is a smart city. Smart city is a city that use modern ICT to upgrade the city functionality and improve the quality of the life of its citizens. It's a city that use modern ICT enabled and integrated solutions for areas like transport management, energy management, environment management, ensure public safety, healthcare, improve education, and you can list many more areas. So this is important in informed and efficient decision making in urban planning, urban resource management, and also in good governance. Now, when we look at villages, villages have a unique set of socio-economic and cultural challenges that are different from the cities. So when we consider smart villages, they build on their existing strengths, they use their own assets, as well as they use new opportunities available to them in developing themselves. So they improve existing facilities and develop new facilities using ICT, innovations, and using their own knowledge. But they also have problems. So for example, like increase in elderly population, migration of young people from villages to cities, and unequal access to digital technologies are some of the challenges that they face in developing smart villages. So, in summary, we can identify smart city as a high-tech, intensive, well-defined geographical area, that is a city or a village, that links people, ICT, and infrastructure to upgrade the cities or villages' functionality in terms of mobility, improved quality of air and water, energy consumption, environmental and waste management, health, safety and security, communication, by integrating ICT to monitor city or village conditions in real time in order to reduce cost, improve efficiency, and enhance the quality of life of its people while serving the desires of the present generation without compromising the capabilities of the coming generations to attain their own needs. That is basically the sustainability. So in here, we can identify 6 drivers or 6 dimensions of smart built infrastructure. That is smart environment, smart people, smart living, smart mobility, smart economy, and smart governance. So when we discuss about smart built infrastructure, we need to understand the role of digitalization. So digitalization is kind of a buzzword these days, and built infrastructure systems must go in hand with digitalization in the development of smart built environment of smart infrastructure, or let's say smart cities and smart villages. So when it comes to digitalization process, we can identify 3 main building blocks. One is data capturing and data generation, then data handling and data management, and then data analysis and data visualization. So I will briefly explain how we can use these 3 building blocks in our research to make our cities and villages smart, to create smart environments, smart people, smart living, smart mobility, smart economy, and smart governance. When it comes to data capturing, let's say now, when it comes to water management or energy management, waste management, we need data. So we should collect data. So when we collect data, we use various digital technologies, like we use cameras, GPS, GIS, sensors, RFIDs, IoT, LiDAR, satellites to collect data or generate data. And then once we collect the data, we should handle this data. We should store these data, and we should transfer this data. So we store and transfer data or handle data through internet. We use blockchain, we use cloud, and cloud computing, edge computing are some of the mechanisms that we use to handle and manage data. Then, to effectively use this data, we should analyze it, and then we should nicely present it using visualization tools. So we use technologies like building information modeling, city information models, AR, VR, digital twins, big data analytics, AI, machine learning. So we use these kind of techniques to analyze data. For example, to analyze data related to city planning, water and energy management, mobility planning, and also disaster risk management. So we use these techniques, these digital techniques, to collect data, handle data, and analyze and finally visualize data. And then we use these data in developing our smart cities and smart villages. So with that, let me move into the next part of my presentation, that is the bibliometric analysis that we have conducted on the current research trends on a smart built infrastructure for urban and rural resilience. So in here we have conducted this analysis in two steps. In part A, we did an bibliometric analysis on smart built infrastructure for urban and rural resilience and sustainability. And part two is on bibliometric analysis on digital infrastructure for smart built infrastructure development. So I did this analysis with the support of Dr. Navodana Rodrigo, one of the senior BPAM editorial team members, and also a lecturer attached to the University of Adelaide, Australia. So the part A is on bibliometric analysis on smart infrastructure for urban and rural resilience and sustainability. Um, and we use this analysis to identify the current research trends. So we followed 6 steps in this bibliometric analysis, and the step 1 was to decide this search string. So we identified keywords and synonyms of smart digital infrastructure, building, construction, urban, city, rural, village, resilience and sustainability in this search. And also we selected Scopus database, mainly because of the accessibility, and also because of WASWiver compatibility in generating research findings. And also we decided to limit the year range from 2015 to 2025, that is, we considered last 10 years, because we wanted to identify the current research trends, and also we have received large data sets, so we wanted to limit the data set, large number of data set as well. Then search fields limited to article title, abstracts and keywords, and document type also we limited it to article, review and editorials. Then in step 4, we download CSV file, and then we analyzed these figures using WASWiver to generate co-citation analysis of figures. And finally, we analyzed the figures and interpreted the findings. So let me move into the first set of findings. That is, our first search is on infrastructure and urban or rural and resilience or sustainability. So in here, we have basically identified four main research clusters. The first cluster is the yellow cluster, that there is no particular order, but I will go clockwise. So cluster one, yellow cluster, is mainly focusing on economic and social sustainable development. And then the next cluster is on cluster, that is in green color cluster. That focus is on energy, renewable energy and smart grids. And then the third cluster is blue color cluster, is on digital technologies for smart cities. And then fourth cluster is on sustainable urban development. Then we decided to limit this analysis to urban and see the patterns. So in here again we have identified four clusters. First cluster is the red cluster on sustainable urban development. Then blue cluster, Internet of Things for smart cities. Then cluster 3, green cluster, is on energy management, renewable energy and smart grids. And last cluster is on economic and environmental sustainable development cluster. Then we decided to look at the other side, that is rural development side. Here we have identified five clusters, basically five research focus clusters. The yellow cluster is on smart villages for sustainability. Then blue cluster is on rural development. Red cluster is on energy, renewable energy and smart grids for sustainable development. Then the purple cluster is on climate change and adaptation. And the last cluster is urbanization and urban growth cluster. Then this slide compare these three co-author analysis diagrams. First one is urban, then middle one is urban and rural, and last one is rural. So if we compare these three, you can see there is one common research area, that is energy, renewable energy and smart grid. So this is common to all three. And then sustainable urban development is also common to all three. And if I compare urban and rural, you can see Internet of Things is an area, focus area under urban, but when it comes to urban and rural, they cover all the other digital technologies, including Internet of Things. And when it comes to urban, again, environmental sustainability is a focus area. And urban and rural, they consider social aspects as well, because when it comes to rural, social aspect is one of the concerns. But when we compare these two with rural analysis, we can clearly see some emerging areas like smart villages for sustainability, rural development, and climate change and adaptation. So these are some new areas or emerging areas related to rural infrastructure development, smart villages concepts. Let me move into the second part, or part B, of this bibliometric analysis. So here we have considered digital technologies that are using for smart infrastructure development, and we focused on digital technologies like blockchain, big data, AI, AR, VR, digital twin, BIM, machine learning, IoT, city information models, GIS, cloud computing and edge computing. And one of the changes we have done here is the year range. We limited it to years from 2019 to 2025. Again, we wanted to know the latest research trends. So this is the findings related to that analysis. Again, we found four main clusters. The blue cluster, the green cluster is on Internet of Things and blockchain for security and privacy, mainly focusing on that area. And then red cluster researchers are mainly focused on areas like artificial intelligence, digital twin, BIM, big data for information management. Then cluster 3, that is yellow cluster, is on machine learning and deep learning for forecasting related studies. And then cluster 4 is on intelligent buildings for energy management. Then I did a small search on BPAM journals from 2020 to 2025, and I selected a few relevant publications related to our today's theme, and some of these publications are listed in this slide. It includes early site publications as well, and also in this slide as well. So in summary, we can see some of the focus research areas nowadays, which those which has publications in these reputed journals are um, smart city concept. Smart village is a emerging area now. There are a lot of research going on in that area. Smart infrastructure, smart transport, smart retrofits, and ICT applications for urban and rural infrastructure development, digitalization, industry 4.0, construction 4.0, and also regeneration is also a very emerging topic in this area now. And when it comes to digital technologies, we can see BIM, IoT, AI, blockchain technology, digital twin, AR, VR, cloud and edge computing as some of the main digital technologies focusing on current research publications. So with that, I will move into my final slide, final area, that is future direction. So based on the literature review that I have done and the citation analysis, bibliometric analysis that I have done, I have identified 10 future research directions. One is apply digital technologies to develop smart infrastructure. We can do cross-sectoral analysis. Then we can identify barriers to smart infrastructure, including digital technologies in rural infrastructure where we have not touched much. Then transition from rural to urban, lessons learned from smart cities. We can apply them um, to rural environment. Then extend digital connectivity from cities to villages to reduce urban-rural divide. Develop integrated and synergistic city and village branding. So this city and village branding or nation branding are again hot topics these days. Then develop data governance and privacy policy for nationwide smart infrastructure. Predict and enable future developments of global smart infrastructure. So especially in here, you can concentrate on regeneration as well, and propose urban rural development policies for holistic regional and national planning, strengthen rural urban economic activity linkages. And to all these things, we should develop innovative, creative, and productive capacities of all stakeholders. So these are some of the future research directions I have identified from the research, and I would like to put forward for you. So that comes to the end of my presentation, and over to you, Professor Mohan.
Thank you. So I hope you can see me, and let me get my slides. And I'm starting with the last slide that Professor Yasangika showed, just to show the continuity. So she ended with future research directions. I must thank Professor Yasangika for the intensive work that led to that output that you just saw. I'm sorry that I overran a bit on my first part, and I will try to catch up on my final part. but here we go. So if you remember vaguely remember the outline or the game plan, mine, I already finished my first section, that's section 1, and passed the ball to Professor Asangika. She finished her section 2 admirably and passed the ball to me. So now it's up to me to take section 3 and divide it into 4 parts. Um, the, the first 3 parts on research projects. So we are going from the literature review and so on, which Professor Asangika did, very valuable to see the trends, and now to something that happened in the recent past, in fact, something just finishing and something done. For the first one is a focus case study of research project on best practice public-private partnership (PPP) models for delivering smart infrastructure development projects. Now, PPP is not suitable for all projects, so I start with that caveat. I think most of you know that it is only for certain projects that will benefit from synergizing public and private sector inputs. Some projects are just not suitable for private sector inputs. They will not get a return, or they're too strategic to entrust to other than the government. Um, for example, to do with defense, or the return is not enough, means the private sector is not interested. So there's no point wasting time. And there are other projects that are not so suitable for public sector involvement, where the private sector is best equipped to do it themselves. So having said that warning, this is example of, it's a prize winning because Nimesha Jayasena, Dr. Nimesha Jayasena, now in a senior lecturer in a UK university, is her PhD was finished actually 2022. And how does she contribute to what we were talking about today? Okay, her title is not exactly seeming to contribute, but you got smart infrastructure, right? So it does. How can it enhance sustainability and resilience? Picking out the things that do from her research. So these are the objectives. I will not read them all for lack of time. So review the goals and concepts of smart city. I will look at the keywords, give you a flavor. Okay, in the next few slides. Smart infrastructure, that's smart city. Main thrust of PPP, conceptual framework for applying PPP to smart infrastructure, best practices, current, separate models, and the final thing is to propose a model for predicting the success of PPP in smart infrastructure development projects for both developed and developing countries. And the key findings and outcomes are on benefits and enablers, barriers, recommended strategies, and enhancing factors affecting the success of PPP in delivering smart infrastructure in both developed and developing countries, best practice guidelines, comparison between the significance of factors, and the machine learning model based. So let's get into the model that was in the last output. So model predicting the success, it was in our objective 2 of PPP in smart infrastructure. Right, her thesis was there. These are the steps one has to go through in inputting uh, the data of the project so that it can do what we say in the title, predict the success. And here's what the model does. Initial questions you answer, and then the questionnaire database talks as benefits and enablers and barriers and recommended strategies. And based on S1, S2, S3 from memory are the satisfaction levels of the various stakeholders, the private sector, public sector, and the public, who we do not obviously neglect, but do often get neglected. So that's how that model output works. And then what are the potential contributions to today's theme? I picked out these. Well, Nimesha picked them out, sorry. And knowledge and best practice advancements. I'm not going to go into each one. I'll just emphasize some. Stakeholder-centric success evaluation, practical tools, policy and decision-making support, and structured frameworks, etc. Broader impact. Now, I'll just pick out a couple of things from there. Smart infrastructure development. So through this research, you can pick out areas that promote smart infrastructure development, enhance quality of life, and support sustainability goals, and help enhance resilience and mitigate environmental impacts. So we have ticked the boxes of sustainability and resilience. Well, she has in our research. Moving to the second case study, decision support system for smart retrofitting for office buildings. Another prize-winning research project, not a coincidence, but it's in a different realm. Okay, I didn't mention the previous Nimesha won a prize awarded by the Institute of Project Management, Hong Kong, for a research project. Okay, it was a high commended prize. There were only two prizes, winner and commend. She won the same, but it is a very prestigious prize, and that was very recently awarded. And Sanduni won a prize, incidentally an emerald prize, which I had nothing to do with and I didn't know until it was awarded, because it was given at the CIB World Building Congress in Purdue in May this year, and it was an emerald prize based on a team. I did ask someone in Emerald, well, my main point of contact, Paul Kidd, and then someone else was asked by Sanduni, and we finally find out the criteria that they use, which are very good. Uh, and she did win a prize, one of the Emerald prizes. I think there were three prizes. And this is on enhancing sustainability and resilience in built infrastructure, is how she contributes to this through smart retrofitting. Objectives to identify, refine, and structure a comprehensive set of criteria for evaluating SR alternatives, because so many smart retrofitting choices are there facing the client and the consultant, and what to choose to get the optimum results you want in smart retrofitting of a building for continued use. So first thing is to establish the criteria, to structure a comprehensive set of criteria from all that I use and some that have not yet been thought of, and establish their relative importance, and then develop the system through the integration of multi-criteria decision-making methods. And to apply this smart SRDSS, you know what it means, it's here. And to real world case studies to validate it. And between regions, again, like Nimesha before, she did case studies in Hong Kong and Sri Lanka. And you know why. PhD was at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and she's originally from Sri Lanka, so she had good information sources and contacts here. So the key findings: validate a set of critical SR decision-making criteria, relative importance of them, not just a criteria list, but their relative importance in different contexts. And the next slide will show you the different context example. And an automated MS Excel based platform to help with this for smart retrofitting decision support. Now, this is what I promised you. This is you may not see this, but the blue is Sri Lanka and the orange is Hong Kong. So the same, these are the criteria, 13 criteria. And investment cost, I don't know if you can see this. The first one, I won't go through all, but investment cost is the first one. And interestingly, Hong Kong and Sri Lanka are not very different, but Hong Kong is more concerned about the initial cost than Sri Lanka. Maybe Sri Lanka is thinking, actually, these are sample that you cannot say is exactly representative, and the differences are not that significant. But if you just want to go on this sample, we have a little more emphasis on the recurring operation, maintenance, and repair cost criteria. Sri Lanka seems to be the sample that was sampled, gives a little more emphasis to that. Very, very slightly, 20 versus 19. But ability to increase returns, also very slight difference. This one is maybe the last one I'll show. Reliability of retrofit options. So Sri Lanka 19%, Hong Kong 16%. I mean, that's the relative importance they ascribe to this. And how does her research contribute? By the way, Sanduni is about to defend her thesis. It's submitted, and she'll be having a viva pretty soon. She's in Hong Kong. So how does it contribute to today's theme? So she again chose those, and I had some minor inputs. So it supports sustainable reuse of existing buildings, etc. Net positive outcomes in energy, supports stakeholder-driven decisions, long-term sustainability, and resilience. So again, ticking the boxes that we have for today. Systemic thinking via multi-criteria, multi-stakeholder evaluation, not just one-off ad hoc thinking, but systemic thinking. Bridges research and practice, proven across contexts. with successful application in Sri Lanka and Hong Kong. So now I come to the third example, which is not a project, it's a program, a research program. And with thanks to Hemanta Doloy, who have been who have known for a long many years. I think 2016 to be precise, when I first met him at IIT Madras when we were both visiting. Developing a body of knowledge in smart villages in rural development is the topic, the research program. Uh, Other researchers are also doing this, not just Hemantha from Melbourne, but he is championed and driven by Hemantha Doloy from the University of Melbourne and policymakers, academics, and industry professionals from Assam, India. And I think it was, I didn't put it down, I can't remember exactly, but Hemantha told me it was it's funded by AusAid. So they got Australian funding anyway. I think it's AusAid. He saw the need for smart villages to complement smart cities. He saw it before COVID, before people started remigrating back to the away from the cities. Well, that trend was there for a while. Smart Villages Lab he established in 2016, groundbreaking collaborative project between Government of Assam and University of Melbourne. Main aims: capacity building in construction management in general, policy support for rural development and community empowerment, focusing on the UN SDGs. Key focus areas: affordable housing, local road maintenance, off-grid and microgrids. Now, just background: state of Assam, population 3.5 million, then 86% are rural, 26,000 villages. Need to bridge village-city divides for rural-urban synergies. Led to research, development and dissemination. Many purpose and a special issue in BPAM, forthcoming book, and annual international conferences from 2015. So this is a slide directly from Hemantha's presentation. He gave me about 15 slides when I asked him for 5. So he told me to select. So this one I selected. It's a work in progress. Uh, of course, and well, this is what he put when he was. It's led from India because that's the test bed. Harmonizing urban versus rural. Just a general figures he quotes: 60% urban population to 40% rural in general worldwide, uh, living in relatively carbon neutral conditions. But the 60% urban are responsible for 47% of the CO2 emissions and above. Um, Smart Villages program, yeah, the test bed is India, 1.6 billion people all over, not just Assam. 70% still rural, 730,000 villages. So this is the balance we can't afford to lose, but they are migrating, so we are losing that. And let from indeed from India sustain the planet. So what India wants to contribute. And here are things I compiled from information he gave me. What have they done? Smart data platform, comprehensive demographic data 37 villages, to support needs-based, data-driven, smart rural development. Many immersive research projects, I think some are joint, but basically housed in Melbourne. Smart water management systems using IoT sensors. Now, these are specific examples that I asked for and he gave me. Smart transportation networks, uh, for example, a rural-urban electric bus system, ride-sharing apps, where villages are connected to city centers with eco-friendly, efficient transport options. So you can choose cost versus whatever, waste and so on. Digital infrastructure for urban rural connectivity, high-speed internet network, seamless connectivity, telemedicine, remote education, e-commerce. So we can understand all that. Third one, smart agriculture, synergizing with urban markets, IoT-based smart farming tools to connect them with urban markets, crop health, soil moisture. They do this in US. Why not in India? Weather conditions, with a little help they can. And okay, I'm sure they'll be very smart at it. Data-driven decisions connect directly to urban markets, reduce food waste, improve supply chain efficiency. Green energy microgrids, where excess energy from rural wind farms or solar arrays can be transferred to urban centers, and vice versa. So it's all give and take. Smart water management systems, where shared water management connect rural and urban. Water from rural reservoirs can be distributed to urban during dry seasons, and water vice versa. So this is a bit good start for building a specific body of knowledge, as well I pointed out and we discussed in rural urban synergies. So integrated infrastructure development to facilitate resilience across national networks. How? Basics, simple redundancies for backup, example on road networks. So if one road there is a landslip, the network will allow you to approach the same area like we have in electrical systems, ring circuits, for example. You can access that area that you want from another road. So it's a network, not just one road from A to B, but B is also connected by via C and one side and via D on another side. Power networks, okay, ring circuits, integrated joint planning, design, delivery, and operations, rural and urban, not separated. How to consolidate? Now we talk about body of knowledge. How to consolidate this, because there are scattered knowledge in various things. How to consolidate and then to disseminate this body of knowledge. Three specific things that have happened and are happening. There was a BPAM special issue on smart villages, rural infrastructure, and sustainable development. Guest editors were Hemanta Doloy and Robert Crawford from Melbourne Uni, Koshi Varghese from IIT Madras. Uh, a book that Hemanta is working on towards the tail end of his work, Smart Villages and Sustainable Rural Development, building a body of knowledge, right, for a climate positive future. The editors are Hemanta, Koshi Varghese again, and Professor George Ofori, who those in Singapore and Malaysia may remember. He was head of department at NUS, then he moved to London South Bank. Uh, and he's in a book series which is domain specific bodies of knowledge in project management, world scientific. Well, it was in my introduction, but I don't think you remember that, the last part of my introduction by Amy, because I'm the editor in chief. I happen to be. So the other thing, I said one, two, three. Third one is a series of conferences which Hemanta has organized with great initiative and energy uh, annually from 2018. And I have somehow got involved to the extent of not being able to say no when he asked me to give a keynote. So these are the themes that I gave just to give a flavor of the topics. Uh, in 2022, I spoke of body of knowledge for developing smart villages. And after that, I persuaded him to do this book uh, and rural infrastructure. Actually, I don't need to persuade him. When I asked him for one thing, he offered to do two books and he started on the second one. But this only one is on smart villages. The other one will take some time. The other one is second conference, well, not second, sorry, the sixth conference in his series. I talked about PPP. So, directly applying what I talked about just a little while ago. And Nimesh also gave a separate presentation at that conference, developing smart villages and rural infrastructure. The last one I spoke was, well, the last one they had, bridging village city divides with smart and sustainable rural urban synergies, and subtopics in integrated infrastructure development for resilient national networks, climate positive cross country projects, programs, and portfolios. Well, going beyond programs, projects to programs and also talking about portfolio, that's another story for another day. And well, I think that's okay for this because we're running behind time. Now, moving on from the research projects and research programs, and from the structural literature review by Professor Yasangika and the examples from research. This is the last subsection of my last section. Uh, Beware how research should not be done. Okay, this is a bit humorous, right? It's exaggerated as humor does. And why our research outputs should be submitted to a reputed journal. I'm not plugging for any particular journal, but be careful, select your journal carefully, track record and speak to some authors and see who the editorial board is and so on. So what can happen? This is, well, some of you may have recognized that Mona Lisa is somewhere there, right? But it's a bad example of how you can progress from a brilliant and innovative research and development idea seems to improve until it's funded, right? So it's conceptualized in the principal investigator's mind of a research project, described in the grant proposal that he submits after a lot of effort, and the actual goal after the funding is not very, it's actually better. So seems to improve until funded. And then it starts getting distorted. It gets fuzzy, distorted, and airy-fairy here. When presenting in a conference, maybe people come out with bright ideas, and then uh, even here, when it's submitted to a journal, by the time you inject the conference inputs and come out with a paper, okay, modern looking, but seemingly innovative, but then it goes to the wrong journal. You get editorial board and reviewers who sort of put in their own inputs and persuade you to make changes that maybe were never intended here. And this is what the distorted thing after addressing reviewer comments. As I said, this is exaggerated. It won't happen in most journals, and it won't happen in BPAM, even if I say so myself. So you can ask authors, don't ask me. BPAM, our mission, aim, and scope targeted the needs captured in today's webinar theme from the beginning, right? Uh, and also, I'm going to say how some BPAM special issues and papers contributed to the needed paradigm shifts that I talked about today. So, launched in 2011, as I said before, only journal that links project management in built environment to asset or facilities management, whatever you call it. Aims and scope, okay, I think I will not waste time, but you can understand from what it is. Cutting edge research, development in construction branch management, infrastructure asset management, because there are critical intersections and convergence between these domains. Because of the whole life focus, okay, this one is important. The whole life focus, we cannot just think only of the project management and completion of a project, but we got to think downstream. So from the upstream to the downstream, and the sustainability imperatives. So we got to think during the project management includes planning, design, and construction. Project managing all that, right? So unless you get feedback from those who are actually running the operations and deconstructing the building, you will never improve. It's going to be that you remember the silos, top down, left to right here, uh, feed forward only. And there's even the feed forward is not perfect. It's just you throw it over the wall. I remember Chime Anumba used to have a slide, throw over the wall. These guys finish in work in their silo, the planners throw the documents to the designers throw it to, well, now you transmit it electronically to the contractors, and they don't even talk to each other. Well, that's the worst case. So we got to improve that with feed forward and feedback loops that I showed you. So, uh, in fact, my inaugural issue uh, in 2011 showed another diagram which showed how this should, where we were then and where we should be. Hopefully, it has improved a bit, not because of BPAM, but because of the general progress in the built environment research and practice. So we also hope to connect upcoming researchers with progressive practitioners between project management but also it can be either on project management or asset management, your paper submissions. So these are the target areas. Again, I won't read them, but they are sort of covering what we talked about. We have both regular issues and special issues on leading edge hot topics by guest editors. We really are selective with the guest editors because we get a lot of proposals, but we have to be careful. And we don't have space because we have a limited number of issues we can do a year and a limited number of pages, so we have to be a bit selective uh, in what special issues we do. So I did list a few in my previous slide at the beginning in section 1, but now let me list what is going on. 3 special issues are in progress. Uh, Motivating and empowering construction stakeholders to target sustainable development goals. So relevant to today, but it's closed for new submissions. So it's closed, and the reviews are going on, second stage in some. Then the second topic is not too relevant today. It's about PPPs, uh, and it's open. The third topic is relevant to to today. Beyond net zero, advancing net positive, circular, and resilient built environment through circular and resilient built environments through socio-technological innovations. And the closing date is 24th November if anyone is interested. And there's a proposed new one, which actually I put it in yellow because we have not made the proposal to Emerald yet, but it's going to be, we have agreed with the guest editors. They came up with some topics and we came up with this final one: regenerative and future-proofed. Regenerative, remember the word, paradigm shift to, and future-proofed smart built environment, and the subtopic targeting circularity, resilience, and social value realization. So that's okay for those interested in citation metrics. To be honest, I'm not that interested, but of course we have got to be aware. We are Q1, and that makes a difference. But these things go up and down, and sometimes, well, there are different ways of doing it, but we just let go for quality and see what happens. So that's how we don't do anything about it. It's up to Scopus or Clarivate Analytics and publication timeline. So they pick up our papers and do what they have to do. This is a publication timeline which some of you may be interested in. Acceptance rate is not that high, but then good journals is not that high anyway. And we are in other fields as well, architecture, Q1. Right. So that is my last slide. I know we are behind time. I'm so sorry to the attendees and to Rosita and her team, Amy and Disha and Dr. Amy. Uh, Thank you for attention and patience. Enjoy the rest of the day. I don't know how much Q&A we can entertain, but I am prepared to stand by for, I don't know, whatever time Rosita is able to extend this. Thank you.
No problem at all, Professor Mohan. We've all been very interested. We've been tuned in. We're listening. So yeah, we have lots of questions. There are so many. Some of them have almost written huge paragraphs of. I think we'll have to send that to you for you to have a look in and respond back, because some of them would be difficult to take. It would take a lot of time. Now, in no particular order, I'll just post the question to Professor Yasa. Ma'am, the first question is, how is it possible to make smart infrastructure in already crowded cities like Varanasi, India?
Um, um, can you repeat that question again?
Yes, of course.
You're talking
Of
about smart making these cities smart in crowded areas,
infrastructure.
right?
So it
Yeah.
says, how is it possible to make smart infrastructure in already crowded cities like Varanasi, India?
Yes, not only India, and some of the cities in Varanasi, if you look at some of the other countries like even in China and Singapore, most of the cities are already crowded. And they have gone for, they use various design solutions and alternative designs, alternative infrastructure facilities, and especially they use these smart technologies which I have presented during my presentation, like data, especially data capturing technologies to collect data before planning. So um, now, when it comes to already existing facilities, sometimes it will be a little bit difficult to address the existing facilities, existing cities, but you can consider um, the peripheral development, or that is where now people are more focusing on smart villages, so that we can reduce the issues in cities, right? If we can enhance the quality of villages, so people will not move into the cities, so we can reduce the burden in cities. So that is why there is a trend in research into smart villages and the development of smart villages.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Uh, Big- uh, Due to a short time, Professor Mohan, I'm not getting your input on this. I'm going to post you the next question. The next question is that I am a civil engineering student, and want to ask a question that why are we not using early time techniques in building today's building such as natural lighting, natural coolers, which will help us saving in electricity and costs.
Sorry, can you? I missed a couple of words. Why are we not using?
uh, Using early time techniques in building today's infrastructure, such as natural lighting, natural coolers, which will help us save electricity and other resources.
Well, the short answer is it's up to the client and the designer. So the designer, the client does not know what is available. The professional designer should advise on what is available, the options, and okay, everything comes at a price. So something natural, unless it is supported or subsidized by the government, it may, well, natural should be economical. If you are going to get natural lighting and natural things, of course it should be cheaper. So it's up to the designer and the client to come up with solutions. So I don't know what cases is referring to and where, but he or she. But I hope that they can. He said, I'm a student, so when he becomes a civil engineer, he can right the wrong. He can make some
Right.
inputs into correcting, talk to the architects. And just to add quickly, although you didn't ask me the question, Yasangika's reply was very good about the last question about reducing the migration to the urbans. But at the same time, I just want to point out that Sanduni Pirisa's research project is about smart retrofitting of existing buildings, whether in Varanasi or anywhere. So it's incremental, it's difficult. What is already built and crowded is more difficult. And then there was another researcher who finished his PhD, Nadun Madhushankar, who also did something about crowded urban centers. Dense, he used the word dense, right? And that's in his topic. And he finished in Hong Kong U, University of Hong Kong, also about 3 years ago. And so there have been work on how to do things in existing crowded cities. So that's about about reduced low carbon buildings, the new ones, and the existing ones is smart retrofitting and networks. So that's, we're talking about buildings, but the networks, the electricity network, the water network, even in Colombo, we started introducing smart water meters. Well, not so smart, but better, and smart electric systems and meters where they can monitor. They don't have to send the meter reader here. So that's okay. That's not that smart, but we were behind the world in that, where you can read it from the center. So step by step, it's incremental in crowded cities. Okay, sorry,
About
go
to
to the
say,
next question.
changes only start with single steps. So yes, most definitely. Thank you, sir. The next question is, how can we implement remote sensing and GIS or geospatial technology for enhancing resilience and sustainability?
Sorry.
Any one of you can take the question. Should I
Yeah.
repeat it?
No,
Yes.
I think
Okay.
I got it. So it's a very general question. I mean, there are many ways of doing it, and it's difficult to give an answer. But I think people are doing it already. People are doing it already. So the my my response would be to please do a search. I'm sure it's going on because people have talked about it for ages. It's a good idea. So if the questioner is interested, he could do a search and he'll come out with examples. And hopefully he could come out with better examples for any particular application he or she is looking at. Thank you.
The
If I
next,
add, if I
yes,
add
yes, ma'am.
something to that, actually, GIS and remote sensing, especially when it comes to urban planning, and in especially in urban informatics, they use these digital tools for urban planning and design and development. So there are researchers there.
Yes, ma'am. Continue.
Yeah, there are researchers
They're
going
all
on in
all
that
right.
area. Yes.
Yeah, okay, wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, the next, I don't think is a question, is more of an observation on the research that you were sharing. It was more on, the papers that you had discussed. Now, it says, so it's a little big, so I'm sorry for taking the time. They say that could we take into account the social future planning and return of investment within the next 5 years of this development? It's very concerning, as even if the development is made for smart villages and cities, there must be sustainability of such cities, which means that there must be a demand for certain goods, supplies, such as localities. The bare minimum I can think of are professional blue collar workforce to do maintenance of cooling systems and buildings. And they go on to comment about schools and medical facilities and so on.
Um, Yasangika, you can add to it, but social return again is something people have looked at. Like, I'm just going back 10 years to uh, when they started the airport expansion of the so-called new airport, which was built in 1998, and they were talking of the third runway. There was a lot of public protests saying that the social return has not been taken into account, and they wanted, not just IRR and economic rate of return, but also the social return taken in. So it has been, I'm sorry to say, it has been around, but maybe whether it's done properly and whether governments want to do it, or private sector involvement, is a different matter. So it should be prioritized. I totally agree with the question, and thank you for the rest of his question or his or her question. But it certainly should be prioritized, and as to how, I think we cannot go into too much detail here, but please do work on that, and hopefully promote it with some specifics and some nuts and bolts. Thank you.
Yeah, even in that course citation analysis, we have identified the social sustainability as one of the areas that should be concentrated, especially when it comes to either whether it is urban or rural. Not only the other aspects, economic aspects, social aspects, we have to consider. So that is one of the areas where the governments as well as researchers, policy implementers should focus on.
Thank you so much. If I can just take just maybe one or two questions, and then we can close this. The next question I have is, in urban areas, the metro transportation system is facing problems due to floods and earthquake. How can these problems be handled? Any one of you can take the question if
Okay, I'll go first. Uh, I mean, is not an easy question. It's a question on everyone's lips because the so-called 100-year floods that we designed for, or earthquakes that in zones that were not earthquake zones, are hitting us hard. So even the UK. I mean, recently we had a keynote just 2 weeks ago at the World Construction Symposium in Colombo, where Professor David Proverbs, who's a leading initiative, and in fact there is a Emerald Journal, which is co-editor in chief of flood resistant infrastructure, and he talked about a big project in Staffordshire. Give us examples of how they are building up flood resistance, because villages that never flooded before. So it's yes, it's happening because climate change, whatever some politicians may say is not happening, but it's happening. And we are having disasters that in areas we never expected before. So all I can say is the design standards have to be changed. So earthquake zones, Hong Kong had been uh, toying with that and debating whether to classify it as an earthquake zone and build our structures to some to resist seismic shocks and so on, because we were not in a direct earthquake zone. We were not far, but we were not direct. And now even Sri Lanka, we've been having shocks off the coast, and well, not very recently, but about 2 3 years ago they were getting closer. a few hundred kilometers away from the east coast, coming closer, and shocks were felt in the center of the country, which we never felt before. So things are changing. So maybe the design standards have to be well, maybe changed. I wouldn't say gradually to accommodate uh, more possible earthquakes, floods, whatever. Yeah. Okay, that's my part.
Yeah, unlike in earlier, now there are a lot of digital technologies that we can capture data, like let's say earthquake information or flood information, even tsunami alerts we get early. So, using these technologies, and we can inbuild these technologies for our planning process, so that we can minimize the effect of those disasters on built infrastructure. Um, so that's where we have a lot of research areas emerging, where our future researchers can focus more and more.
Thank you so much, both professors. The last question was also somewhere around floods. I think it would have answered their question. I will not take that. Thank you for your patience, for your time today. It's been absolutely lovely. Yes, Dr. Rahimi, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. So, thank you, Professor Mohan, Professor Yasang Ika, for joining us today, yeah, replying to the request to have this session. And also, thank you to Rosita, Amy, and also Disha for arranging to make it happen. So, yeah, I think everyone would benefit from today's discussion on how we should move to the future, and yeah, consider this topics for future research, and also consider BPAM as potential publication venue. Yeah, so I think that's all from my side. Yeah, hope we get to learn something today together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rahimi, for your input, for helping us arrange the webinar. Thank you to my colleagues. Thank you to our amazing speakers today, and all the participants for joining in. I hope, at least, even though I am not researching, I have learned so much today from this webinar, and I hope everybody who's joined in has definitely their answers have been questioned. And in case you have any other questions you'd like us to take, or we can share them with the presenters today. And yes, if you have any questions, please write to us and we'll help you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, G. Thanks, Amy, and thank you to the speakers once again. Thank you, Dr. Amy. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day and week ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. All the best.
Bye.